In terms of, a suspicion concerning, my audible or comprehension, auditory comprehension, I will actually, run this dual system to actually prevent any type of smear tactic or dishonesty. I will actually, record whatever conversation that I might have with, foreigners or interlocutors of the native language they actually speak. Then I will actually submit this file without actually re-listening to any type of audio materials, but I will meanwhile submit my own version of understanding either in a written form or in an oral statement. How about that? Because I actually noticed that there are so many, unexplained and inexplicable factors that were later attached to actually, shame me. I would never accept this kind of occasion because in the first place, they actually planted us, a fucker like, John Morrison, hanging around with his entourage to actually send me out. That's really the reason they dubiously actually dropped my test results to actually fool me as if I would be in the first place, last, qualified for language sufficiency and acquisition and comprehension. This has been already elaborated a scenario. I'm more than happy to actually, dig deeper. Yeah, and excavate what has been buried underneath, because there are so many unexplained factors. Am I really, that much unknown to it? Then, I'd like to actually submit this in a political science, test books, because a political science would likely to be, a thing of subtlety, and that there are many factors that would only be delivered by lecture, because we only had a one test throughout the entire semester. So there are so many, factors that could only be orally presented by a professor in the class. So I just really wanted to actually submit this kind of results to see, how much, that I have understood from that specific professor, whose name is David Johnston. I really like to actually do that because, I just really can't accept this kind of and a hideous assertion, because technically if you're really studying linguistics, you would actually notice if someone actually can pronounce it this way, if you actually really read things like this way, and if you can actually think like this way, then there's no chance you would be actually fooled by any type of listening, because when those people living in America would speak like you, then you could immediately pick up their word. I'm more than happy to go through a test conducted by a very fast speaking interlocutors straight out of the United States. I'm very happy to meet them. I really don't mind, having a multiple, people as a part of the panel to having, a very lively conversation or a debate or a discussion with them. I'm more than happy to, pick up that invitation card or, at least, pick up that gantelet, right? It's very interesting if you ever actually argue that. But you know what? Don't you forget that I have my own way of thinking also, to actually prevent or avoid any type of, dirty tricks you might actually pull off by actually relying on the number of people in the class who might not be in favor of me. I will actually record every conversation by carrying a tiny pen that would actually be, almost a 24-hour long, capable of a recording any tiny sound in the room. And I will actually submit the original file to Frederick Pleiken. Meanwhile, I will actually submit my version. I will actually recapitulate what had happened and what might have happened in between. Whether that would be taking place in English or in German, I will actually, recapitulate the situation that could have been done to actually, prevent any type of, bait and switch type of deceitful action by them. This is really a pure fraud. So simply, especially, most of people who never even speak in a proper English, they are actually, making the loudest noise. Have you ever heard about that? Those people, personally never even possessed an understanding in subtlety, but they were actually arguing with the loudest voice to say that I was deceived by them. But if you ever actually find a tiny, a sentiment coming from my head, that would actually reveal, true, misunderstanding from in a certain sentence by John Morrison, then I would be happy to accept that proof to have a conversation by going deeper into that misunderstanding caused by, that person. I'm very happy if you ever find a very concrete and substantial evidence that would offset and counteract my argument, then I'm more than happy to have a very civil conversation by curbing my, curse. And I will never actually use this. I will never swear, I promise. But the thing is, let me actually have the evidence. It's your assumption, your hideous assumption likely to be drenched with, age-old bias, because you're actually, almost, at despair. You're in despair. You're in despair at accepting the fact that I was able to understand this and that in English. So you're in state of denial. That's very simple. I'm very happy to actually have any conversation because what those people who've been actually working on mind reading, they already actually collected and mined almost every thought and feeling coming from my brain. But if you ever actually find any idea that would be actually betraying the understanding of original sentences presented by John Morrison, if there's any mismatched idea forged directly from John Morrison's idea, which actually was purely caused by my deficiency in English, then I'm more than happy to explain things out or talk things out by providing a sufficient explanation from my side. I'm more than happy to have a very, very civil and a general conversation with them. But the thing is, I don't really appreciate this type of, illegitimate and unfounded understanding that my understanding is really flawed. I would never likely to understand the best speaking, very much, American-like voices that would actually speak standard or even actually Southern, accent English. I don't mind. I'm more than happy to be tested by you. But the thing is, I just really don't want to be ruled by those, improper, irrelevant folks who don't personally speak good English either. I'm not actually, looking down on them. Don't get that wrong. But the thing is, if you ever actually really need to, deal with this tool, at least you should actually know how to use this tool by yourself. If you ever wanted to judge other people's dealing with the rule, you should actually know how to do it by yourself. Don't you not actually think so? How can I actually even, measure someone else's performance if I cannot actually know how to actually deal with it, how to handle it? Don't you not actually think that would be a contradictory? I would never be a victim of this logical fallacy. I'm more than happy to actually meet anyone who can truly actually pinpoint a very thought that was a part of my brain, and that was likely to be caused by the John Morrison's word, which was technically mistaken by me, misperceived by me, to actually result in that sentence recollected from my brain at the time. I'm more than happy to have a very, very relatably civil conversation with any folks. I'm very happy. But the thing is, I just really decline this type of growth assumption because I already spotted, a very, very unbelievable story. Because think about it, I actually, I haven't studied anything, and actually, on Sunday, I was scratching my head without even actually washing and rinsing and shampooing my hair. Hit this test center, in Manhattan, and I just actually pulled that off to being on the safe side of the story. Literally, I never actually opened up a book to actually, conduct any drills, but somehow managed to actually, easily landed on the safe side to overcome the minimum requirements set by the Columbia University for foreign students, non-English speaking students. But the thing is, I just actually threw away this, test prepping book with a single mark inside the book. Even though I was aware of the fact that there has been a significant change in formula, I actually, didn't bother. Because, I found it so useless. I've already actually been that much confident in English and actually hit the test center to actually, pull up that grade without even actually opening up a tiny book. But all of a sudden, I was actually failed in terms of understanding English because of this Columbia's, English test that was, very in the similar range of a TOEFL with no proper explanation and indication for what I had missed. This is really, mysterious. In the first place, I was really the one who was charged with the $45 in the US dollar, by the way, not the Canadian dollar. That's really bizarre. Don't you not actually think that this must have something to do with, my actually internal disdain for Kwon Hyun-jin? Have you ever thought about this? She was rejected by the Münster University because she actually somehow managed to botch up the language proficiency test and called the TSH. That's, what the German university language test demanded and designed by each university in Germany. I actually snooped around the archive of my history to actually smell a rat, something fish going on. I'm there to, I'm very happy to actually, fight off this injustice. I don't really need to be in the United States. I don't really know a single soul in the U.S. I don't want anything to do with them. But the thing is, something's not right. We all know that, right? The more actually, I was, hard on, advancing, my thing in America, the more they actually, tried their very best to forestall me and foil me. Have you not actually noticed that in 2009 I was actually working on psychological tests, with Arthur and Endeavor? They decided to actually hit me with this, a stretch limo taxi. Now that was very unusual. I thought, he was actually going to stop because I saw him from the very beginning as, the traffic light had been changed into green. I thought that he was going to stop anyhow. But he was constantly coming. Even I was actually, just a few steps away from the car. This didn't stop, as if he was actually, intentionally zooming in on me. And I never suspected anything bizarre. I never expected that kind of wacko. But it turned out to be, there was something very hilarious. They want me to be inside the hospital once more. I smelled something bizarre, because, I already actually, I even actually put down my signature. Don't try to actually say there is a defection in my auditory skills. I already actually put down my John call on the clipboard held by a paramedic who was a part of the ambulance. I clearly remember that. I would never pick up the paycheck. That means I will never foot the bill because the liability lies in this taxi driver 100%. So I will be completely free of charges. I will be eliminated from payment from the medical bills that might be incurred because of my injury. I've already actually signed that. I really remember that. You know what? You can never actually manipulate the document. I have, clearly put down my signature using a pen given by this beautiful paramedic lady. I can even find her. Don't try to lie to me. I can even actually spot her. It's really easy because she might actually cover the radius nearby the Columbia's Presbyterian Hospital. It's just a matter of time. I can actually just employ my resources to track her down. But even after that, they actually, manipulated the document to actually, get me threatened by the debt collector, constantly calling me to pay off this, ER registration fees, like, up to, 450 or something like that. This was all manipulative tactics to foil me. Yeah, I would have never considered it as a coincidence. Yeah. No matter how many times I think, this, it just simply coincided with, the things that I was working on with the ardor and a passion. They could not actually, accept this kind of double sided attitude. I mean, do 180 type of attitude. I know they were, difficulty and abomination for my, a dual aspect, just like in the Janus. I actually, did a 180, and I did, about face by, flipping my side to be a very eager beaver who has been working hard on everything that has been part of my life. Yeah, so they had a very difficulty in terms of swallowing. This is not conspiracy theory. I'm more than happy to, have a serious conversation. Whoever wants to know this, because what I want is, a full-blown unconditional immigration to Germany. Then I will silence it.